Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the news that the Washington Commanders will likely hire either Pat Shurmer or Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator. So we're going to break that all down in today's video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content on the road to 11,000 subscribers. Also hit that like button and that notification bell as well. Okay, so on John Keim's podcast the other day, he said he thinks the OC will either be Pat Shurmer or Eric Bieniemy. It wasn't him officially reporting it or anything, but he called it an educated guess. And usually when he does these things, he's pretty, usually right. He's usually right. He's good at these things. Has called a lot of things in the past, and so looks like it'll be Pat Shurmer, Eric Bieniemy. I still think maybe Anthony Lynn has a chance, but that'll depend if he really wants the job, and really depend on Eric Bieniemy, because I do believe Eric Bieniemy is their top candidate. I think it's Eric Bieniemy, then I guess maybe Pat Shurmer, maybe Anthony Lynn. So for me, it's Eric Bieniemy and then everyone else. I think Eric Bieniemy is the top candidate by miles. I think he would be an amazing candidate for the Washington Commanders. He's one of the better offensive coordinators in the league, and if we could somehow get him, that would, I think, make this offense a whole lot better, because he can definitely, maximize the offensive weapons we have on the team in Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Gibson, Brian Robinson, and others. I'm sure I'm missing someone, but he can maximize them. Pat Shurmer, on the other hand, I know some people like him. I just really don't care. I really don't with a lot of these guys. Eric Stoodsville, Charles London, Ken Zampese. I'm just really not excited about many of them. Thomas Brown, I would be a little bit happy about, but still, he has his weaknesses as well. Here's a tweet, because every time I make a video talking about Eric Bieniemy, there's people being like, there's zero chance he leaves Kansas City, and definitely not to the Washington Commanders. Well, let me just read this right here from Ian Rappaport. He says, I think Bieniemy is really in play for a play calling or OC job. A couple of different plays, the Rappaport said Thursday on the Pat McAfee show. Baltimore, and I think the Commanders is really one to consider. So you'd be like, he's already an OC. Why would he leave Mahomes? He shares play calling with Andy Reid. He does a lot of it, but he shares it. If Bieniemy lands in Washington, he'd have full control of the offense, something he doesn't necessarily have in Kansas City with Reid. While he'd inherit a much different quarterback situation with the Commanders, a successful 2023 season in Washington could finally be what Bieniemy needs to land a head coaching opportunity. Right now, there's just really no chance. I mean, not no chance, but I just don't see a path for him to be a head coach while remaining in Kansas City, because he's been a coordinator there since 2018. They've been a top 3, top 5 offense since pretty much 2018, and guess what? He hasn't gotten a job. So and part of it might just be other things besides play calling, but there's definitely some of it has to do with play calling. And if he has a really good year with the Commanders and brings them from a below average, just bad offense to a top 10 offense, I think that would really impress some owners and some owners and front offices, and convince them to hire him as a head coach. I really do believe so, and that wouldn't necessarily be here. It could be maybe he does get promoted here if the new owner, if we do get a new owner, decides to clean house, or he just gets another opportunity, and hey, that would be fine. Because of the rules, we would get 2 third-round picks, and I would not complain about that. So real quick, let's look at the history on these guys. So Eric Bieniemy was high school coach, then at Colorado, which I believe is where he played, was a running backs coach for a couple years, was a running backs coach at UCLA for 3 years / recruiting coordinator his last year there. Coach Logan Paulson, I believe, at one point. I guess not, but I know Logan Paulson was talking about Eric Bieniemy coaching, but it looks like, they didn't really overlap, because Logan Paulson came in the league in 2012, I believe, and he stopped coaching here in 2005, but whatever. Maybe he went back in between 2012 or 2010 and 2013. He was with the Vikings from 2006 to 2010 as a running backs coach and then assistant head coach, and worked with Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson obviously was amazing there, and Adrian Peterson has great things to say about Eric Bieniemy. Then he was a running backs coach for Andy Reid from 2013 to 2017. Did a good job there. Jamal Charles was there, so were other running backs. And then offensive coordinator from 2018 to 2022, so 5 seasons, has done a tremendous job there. And, some players, I think like Sean McCoy has spoken out about him, but there's been a lot of players that have talked about how good he is. He is more vocal, and he is harder on his players and more than other coaches, like very, very different than Scott Turner, but he'll push the players, and that's something that Adrian Peterson said he did a very, very good job of. So that is something that I think that some players might not take well, but I think you should take it well as a player, and I think the good ones will, and I like that style of coaching, and I really, really hope that we end up... I think we want to hire Eric Bieniemy. I think he is one on our list. The question is, one, will he leave Kansas City? His contract is up after this season, so he's going to be looking, and maybe they'll re-sign or extend him, but I don't know. And then, so the question is, one, does he leave Kansas City? And two, if he does leave Kansas City, does he choose Washington? That's really what it comes down to. So, yeah, it's going to be choosing between the Ravens. Ian Rappaport said Ravens and Commanders. Could also be the Titans, I believe. The Jets also requested an interview, but they hired Nathaniel Hackett. So that's kind of what the Commanders are competing with. Real quick, looking at Pat Shurmer's coaching history. It's a long one. At Michigan State for a long time, from 88 to 97. It was a lot of different positions there, which, you like to see a lot of different, experience. Graduate assistant, offensive line, tight ends, special teams, and yeah, a lot of stuff. Then worked at Stanford for a year, then was with the Eagles. He overlapped there with Rivera and was a tight ends coach for 3 years, then a quarterbacks coach for, a long time, 2002 to 2008, so 7 years, and then was a Rams offensive coordinator, did not know that, for 2 years, then Cleveland Browns head coach for 2 years, didn't really work out, back to the Eagles offensive coordinator for a couple years, interim head coach, then was offensive coordinator again, was offensive coordinator in 2015, tight ends coach in 2016, offensive coordinator in 2017, did a great job there with Case Keenum. Case Keenum had his best season by far in 2017. Then the New York Giants head coach, wasn't a great head coach, but did a good job developing Daniel Jones there, and then was the offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos from 2020 to 2021. They did not really do great there, but to be fair, he had Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater as his quarterback. So you see, he has a lot of experience, and Eric Bieniemy has a lot as well. For me, the order of candidates, I would like Eric Bieniemy, then maybe Thomas Brown, then maybe Anthony Lynn, and then after that, I really don't care. Maybe you can throw in Pat Shurmur. He has a lot of, he's got a lot of experience, but he's got a lot of bad years as well. So that's just something to consider. But Eric Bieniemy would be an absolute dream. I made a dream